While many welcomed President Cyril Ramaphosa's economic and social recovery plan on Thursday during the State of the Nation address, action is still required to address the urgent challenges facing South Africa's youth. The civil society organization Afrika Tikkun Services intervenes on behalf of township and rural economies and says immediate concerns on the ground must be addressed. CEO of Afrika Tikkun Services, Onyi Nwaneri, joins us now to weigh in on the discussion. A very good morning, Onyi. Thank you so much for your time. This speech is in collaboration. It's a result of a collaboration of a number of officials in government, policy advisors, speech writers, as well as collaboration with business leaders and labor. But civil society is not really included in that. What do you make of it?
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and thank you to your listeners. Yes, civil society perhaps wasn't apparently involved in co-creating part of what we saw yesterday, or was it 2 days ago on Thursday when the president spoke. But civil society has had influence in the background in terms of what we saw. For example, civil society has been advocating strongly for focus on youth and youth development and youth employment, focus on looking at stimulus packages that support that, focus on small businesses, especially small businesses in township economics. So we feel we don't have to be at the forefront of what has been presented as long as we're influencing it.
And taking a look at what the president said, do you feel that he read the room and according to your opinions that you've just laid out on the table right now?
No, absolutely. We are very, very thrilled to see that government has listened, especially the president, in relation to some of the challenges that we see in township economies. We see huge youth unemployment, and we know that the linkages to youth unemployment is related to things like crime, drugs, gender-based violence, etc. And so we love the fact that we're seeing a lot of immediate action in relation to the employment stimulus package, the social employment fund, the interest to boost small businesses with the focus to make sure that all the red tape related to that prevents small businesses from accelerating growth is being considered. For us, what we want to see next is now that the government begins to take immediate action regarding what has now been presented.
And that's the elephant in the room here. We've heard a lot of the things that the president has said in previous speeches. So now, after all, is almost a PR exercise which allows him to put his doubters to put his doubters right and set them right. Do you feel that government will take those actions as the president has set out?
We believe the political will is in place. We honestly feel that this government is genuinely interested in taking actions, and we've had the privilege of, engaging and being part of the civil society that has supported pilot efforts to see if things like the youth service would work. And we see that the youth service potentially works. We see that the 350 rands example that the president had given that could be used as a stimulus to get young people off the ground to become productive, whether to a youth service platform or an alternative platform, does work and does enable young people to take steps to start, looking for employment or starting businesses as entrepreneurs and then taking those businesses to the next level. So we're very hopeful. I can only say that we are hopeful, and we're hopeful not just because of the words of the president. We're hopeful because we've seen steps taken in the right direction. I think now the conversation is about ramping it up. It's about now accelerating it and raising the bar and ensuring that we not just reach a few people, that we reach millions of young people and small businesses, especially in township economies, that desperately need this.
I mean, your organization is an organization that's generally in the forefront of creating employment and getting youth to be entrepreneurs and, all of that good things. Finally, if I can say so, the president has now said that it's not the government's responsibility to create employment, but to rather create an environment where that thrives. Do you agree with that, and do you feel that that indeed will be the case this time around?
I 100% agree. South Africa belongs to all those who live in it. And all those who live in it include children, youth, adults, corporates, civil society, government. If we want South Africa to be great, if we want South Africa to move forward, then everybody has to put their hands together to support that. There's already enough regulation. If you look at the broad-based Black Economic Empowerment Regulation, it enables us to look at creating skills that speaks to the talent we need in the corporate sector. It looks at developing and supporting enterprises and enabling that enterprises to become part of the value chain of business. It looks at how you grow people within your business through management control as well as employment equity. So I believe the legislation is there. I believe the environment is there. I believe the political will is there. I think it's now for us to put our hands together to work hard to get to the South Africa we want and create the South Africans that we want to see.
Onyi, is the budget there, though?
I think that's the challenge. I think the big challenge is that there is, as much as government has big plans, let's be honest, COVID-19 has had a big impact in terms of where resources has been focused over the last 2 years. And so thinking about, is the budget from government enough to achieve this? No. But we also know that the private sector is sitting on capital and based on uncertainties in the economy have not necessarily released the amount of capital that is possible. We know that foreign direct investment is possible too. So that's part of the collaborative effort, that if there is a trusting society that is created between the different stakeholders, civil society, international investors, the corporate sector, and government, then I would say, yes, the money is there. But if there's a distrusting relationship where people are waiting to see, which is where we have been in the last couple of years, then I don't think we have enough money. But again, how do we leverage existing resources and how do we make those resources go further and work for us? And
how does the government then, fit into all of this picture, especially when it comes to procurement and spending? The president mentioned that his suit and his shoes were made by a proudly South African individual. He mentioned a young man who managed to create an ice cream business as well. We'll be crossing to him later as well on the show. But how then does government support that with their procurement? They are the largest spenders in the country.
I do think that based on the current broad-based Black Economic Empowerment codes, government is currently supporting it. If you understand those codes and related legislation, the focus is that government will only do businesses with people who comply with those codes. And those codes are quite clear in terms of how we should procure. And government themselves hold, apart from all the red tapes that is related to that, which needs to be improved, taking away those red tapes, looking at how do we remove compliances that prevent black South African businesses from accessing those procurement policies. So I think there is is the legislation there in terms of procurement? Yes. Is the political will there? Is yes. I think it's now how do we remove everything that prevents people like that young man to be able to procure from government, and there being an intentional focus to buy local. Because if there is an intentional focus, we're saying buy local, ours is better, then we shouldn't just talk about it. We shouldn't just put legislation. We'll say, what are the barriers to buying local? What are the barriers to manufacturing local? What are the barriers to distributing local? Let's remove that within context to prevent any corruption, within context to prevent any fraud in the system. But let's do it intentionally and let's do it together.
And in terms of your organization, if you can just talk to us about some of your experiences, some of the red tape you faced in the past that you mentioned that you're really excited about, that it seems like the president is cutting through it finally. What are some of those experiences?
Our experiences lie from the fact that a lot of our young people are dormant. There's no movement. They're waiting. There's a lot of people who are waiting for what government is going to do. What we like about, and not as productive as they should be. And so what we like about the youth service element, which we have been a part of, we piloted it, we know it works, and we know that it gets young people moving, is the employment stimulus package does work because it gets young people, just to give you a sense, Afrika Tikkun services, our big focus is to end youth unemployment in our lifetime, if not reduce it. Therefore, we want to take away every socioeconomic barrier that prevents young people from accessing the economy in real time through employment or self-employment. So the employment stimulus package through the Social Employment Fund and the youth service will get young people going. We need young people to get up, to understand that they can contribute to the society. So movement, productivity, engagement of young people in terms of moving forward in relation to their life is great. Putting money in their hands through different mechanisms that enables them to access the economy and to start businesses is great. from our own experiences, we know that a lot of young people want to start businesses. They've got great ideas. They've already started something. And so we know that any red tape that is taken to improve procurement will automatically enable young people to start seeing income funding coming into their hands and enable them to start selling their products and services to where it matters, especially to relevant stakeholders. So from our experience, in terms of a big organization focused on enabling economic empowerment through creating employment or self-employment and creating the skills that enable that, we really feel that we are moving in the right direction. We feel that with the partnership of everybody concerned, government, civil society, public, and the youth themselves, I do want to say this, the youth themselves, we can do everything. But if the young people of South Africa do not say, South Africa belongs to me, it's not about what my country can do for me, it's about what I can do for my country. If they don't stand up and say, my future is mine, then all of this means nothing. So I want to end up by saying, South African youth, everyone is in support of you. It's now time to take your place in this country. It's now time to grab whatever opportunities and move. Movement is everything. And then we will support you to get to where you need to be. But it starts with you.
Afrika Tikkun Services CEO Onyi Nwaneri, thank you so much for your time.